I better come on beforehand and just kind of let you know this is not going to be a normal Echoes from the Chalkboard piece. That most of those are just about a particular school. Hi, Rocket, just coming to see me. But this particular piece, we're going to talk a little bit about the town that this school has to do with. You see, it's a town that's, well, it's no longer around. There's been a couple of Garfield schools in the Salt Lake Valley, and we're going to cover all of those at some point in time here on Echoes from the Chalkboard. But this particular one is real interesting to me, particularly because, like I said, it's just not even around anymore, nor is the town. So we're going to talk a little bit about the town first, then we're going to talk about the school, and I hope you enjoy this piece on the Garfield School and the Garfield Town.
Today, we are going to make some grass. No, I'm not in Colorado, so it's not going to be that kind of grass. It's our techniques that are so simple and sensible, your mothers would practically build themselves.
Hello folks, it's Mad Dog Merv, and well, I'm on a busy road, that's for sure. But we're at the old town site of Garfield, Utah. We are going to talk a little bit about Garfield. Probably never heard of it. And well, there's some real interesting history, including some to do with the Lincoln Highway. So without further ado, let's check out Garfield, Utah.
I had seen some pictures in my records of a Garfield Elementary School out in a place called Garfield, and I always wondered exactly where that was. There was also a junior high school. Well, not too long ago, one of the Facebook groups I belong to, somebody had posted this picture of the town of Garfield. Now, I had been told previously that Garfield was completely underneath the big tailings pile that is currently out in this part of the valley. But I could see by this picture, this is clearly up against the mountain, and this is away from where the tailings pile is. So I got looking on Google Earth. I got looking at some old USGS maps, which is, not maps, but pictures, which is what one of these is. And I was able to match up streets, and I was able to find, aha, this is where the school was. So let's talk a little bit about Garfield, Utah. In 1905, well, this smelter, the Garfield smelter, owned by Utah Copper Company, decided that they needed to build a little town to support this smelter. So they went ahead and purchased the property just a little bit to the east of the smelter here, and in 1905 began to build this little town that where the men could live that would support this smelter. So here's the first picture of Garfield. Now, it's kind of hard to tell, but off in the distance is the lake. And you can see by this picture here, this is kind of taken at the top of the town. Off in the distance would be what we know as the Lincoln Highway. This is looking up into the town from down by the highway. Again, these are all early pictures from about the 1905-1906 period of time. However, here is at the top of the main street, which was known as Lincoln Avenue. Here is a great picture taken right off the old Lincoln Highway of the bank and the drugstore looking right up Lincoln Avenue towards the top. Another angle, or I should say another picture of that same area with an old Model T bogged down in the mud. Love that picture. And so here is the town and how it was laid out. At the bottom of this map is where the Lincoln Highway was, and offshoot U202 that goes over to the Saltaire area. And you kind of get an idea how the town was laid out, and right down the center there was some of the businesses. So on the northeast side of town was a rock outcropping where there was a cave. And in the early days, this roadside cave provided travelers with a natural and welcome shelter. In 1860, the cave served as a Pony Express station and later became a stopping place for the Overland Mail. Joseph Toronto was one of the pioneer owners. In 1905, the American Smelting Company bought the station. Later, it was purchased by the Garfield Improvement Group. In 1919, well, somebody hung themselves in the cave. And so it kind of got the name Dead Man's Cave. In 1938, a scientific group from the University of Utah explored the cave, and artifacts were found that proved to be of Native American origin, which was pretty darn cool. This marker here tells us about the Central Overland Trail and the Hastings Cutoff. And again, this is part of the Lincoln Highway eventually. So very historical area right here. Here is the old Lincoln Highway, or the old 201, whatever you want to call it if you're local. But how the old Lincoln Highway just went right on down, and you can see Dead Man's Cave, or Toronto Cave there on the left. Here is the outcropping, and you can see where the road used to go. Here's a picture, a vintage picture of the cave, what it once looked like. And then here's a little bit later version of it. And the road would curve around just past here and go over towards the, as you can see here, on the left-hand side where the cave was, and then it would straighten out and head right towards the center of what was the town of Garfield. Pretty neat, but you can see there's a ballpark there, movie theater, there's a swimming pool, garage, a sheriff's office. Wow, all pretty centrally located right there. Well, here's the swimming pool, and site investigation shows there's absolutely nothing there today, which is really sad. You'd think there'd be a big hole or something, but no, completely filled it in. So, but yeah, they had a swimming pool. They also had this baseball diamond, which was right on the north side of the Lincoln Highway. And of course it's all gone. That whole area there's nothing there now. Here is a great map of the detail of what you would consider the downtown area, the businesses. Now the post office that's here on the upper left hand side, that building is still standing today. And the 201 freeway, as we call it, well, where all of those bigger buildings are, that's right where the road goes nowadays. Garfield Trading Company, great picture of that from obviously back in the 1940s. Wow, pretty nice. Here is a picture from the very top of the town. I can't remember when this was taken, but very top of the town, looking down towards the lake. Dead Man's Cave is on the right-hand side, that big rock outcropping. You just can't ever seem to miss that when you see it. And there at the bottom of the road of Lincoln Avenue, you can see the Lincoln Highway heading from left to right. Yeah, pretty neat picture. All right, and here is another one. This is of the what was called the men's club, and looking out towards the lake. And this men's club wasn't too far from where the schools were. Here's a nice close-up picture of the men's club from probably the late 1920s, I believe. So back to this picture again. If you look to the right of the men's club, you'll see kind of a white building, and that's a church, an LDS church. And right across from that was a Presbyterian church. And here's the only known picture of that Presbyterian church, at least this angle of it, which is pretty neat. I think they called it the Purple Church. And here's the white church, which was the LDS or Mormon church that was right across Lincoln Avenue. And this is in the later days, late 1940s, as it appeared then. Pretty neat. Okay, so this is, again, what really got me interested. Here on the left-hand side, you can see the two school buildings. And if you get in an overhead, you start looking at the streets, I was able to place exactly where these were. So the first building was the elementary, built in 1907 at a cost of $26,000. Well, as this town grew, by the 1940s there was 2,000 people in the town, and as it grew, well, they needed another building. So this building was built in 1914. It only cost them $20,000. Oh, that was interesting. And this one was built as a junior high school at the time. So grades 7, 8, and 9 went to this building at the time. Now, when that happened, the high school age students were bused clear into Salt Lake City for West High School. Kind of interesting. Here is a great early picture previous to 1938 of the two buildings together. The junior high is closer here, and the elementary is in the back of this picture. In 1938, a $17,000 addition was added to the back of the junior high school building. Now, they were anticipating having a lot more elementary students, and the junior high students were now going to be sent to Magna, to, I believe it was Brockbank was one of them, and Cypress Junior High School. Here is a view, a good view of the front of the building, and you can also see that side addition with the side door to that side addition, as well as the original building pretty much dead center in this photo. That's really a neat photo. Well, just off to the left of where this photo was taken, in the early 1950s, they built a refinery, and you can see kind of to the center, a little bit off to the right, there is the school building, but here's the refinery that was built in the early 1950s. Now, right there by the refinery is where the depot was, the Garfield Depot, and well, I gotta wonder if students that went to West High School would hop on here and go into Salt Lake, but nevertheless, there was a depot there with passenger service. By the early 1950s, school was only held in the East Building. The West Building was pretty much vacated of school activities and used for some different church activities. But again, the junior high kids, they were going over to Magna for for their activities. So beautiful. This is right before they tore the building down. Beautiful building. So let's look at the site today. This is about where all of the business part would be, looking right up Lincoln Avenue towards the top of Lincoln Avenue. 201 just goes right on through there. And this flat area out there, that's where the schools sat. Now, it's been dug out and turned into kind of a retention pond. Why, I don't know. That should have been about 10-15 feet higher, and that's where the schools would have sat. However, they are just not there anymore. So, unfortunately, those beautiful, beautiful buildings were torn down, and most of the town was either moved to Magna or Tooele or torn down. Well, we are going to head back towards Salt Lake City, and this is right there on the old Lincoln Highway, and 201 where 202 also overlapped here. We hope you enjoyed this and learned something from it, and well, we'll see you again soon.